All right, addiction we talked about. What is the definition of addiction? Addiction is whatever you do to mood alter. Addiction is what you choose to fixate on, what you choose to medicate your pain on instead of dealing with your legitimate problems. Pain is a necessary, natural part of life, and it's okay to be in pain. Pain is a great teacher, and we need not suppose that our children should always avoid pain. And if we teach them to avoid pain at all costs, they'll get into drugs, and they'll get into these other things that alleviate their pains. Okay, now boundaries. This boundary now that we're talking about is who I am. And it's my right to say no to you. My boundaries is where I have a right to say yes or no. My boundaries is where I stop and somebody else starts. And don't you come over my boundary. And you need to have a sense of boundary. Now, abuse to a child is what's demeaning to that child. And invading that boundaries and disrespecting that child. Now, you can spank a child, and it can be okay, but not always okay. All spanking isn't right. It's how it's done. But the child needs a sense of boundary. Now, what's bad is, in these enmeshments, when we have a surrogate spouse, Dad's here, and Mom's here, and I'm here, and we have an enmeshment like this. It should be Mom and Dad, shouldn't it? And now Mom and Junior are enmeshed, and I'm a surrogate spouse. I'm taking care of my mother's emotional needs. Can you see how I get confused as to a sense of boundary? And I get mixed up with girls, or I go around and there's no sense of boundary, and the girl has no sense of boundary. And kids learn about boundaries by observing their parents. Boundaries are a very, very important thing. If you don't have boundaries, you can't teach it to your kids. And you need to have boundaries. You can't let people talk to you in certain ways. And you can't let people abuse you or expect you to do everything. And when you have boundaries about what people do in the house and about the housework and about this and about that, you teach boundaries. It's very bad not to teach boundaries. Boundaries are an essential part of our preservation. And we need to have a sense of violation, a sense to be offended and hurt when attacked.